Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Hi, I'm Speeder. Okay, I haven't done one of these in a while, but welcome back to some MCU reviews. Here I am with another review of an MCU movie. This one is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. So, I have not done one of these since the Winter Soldier review. It's probably been at least a couple months, I think. Just a little bit busy to watch an entire movie and then make a review on it, so I have to do it on the weekends. But I ended up being busy on the weekends a lot, so it's kind of been difficult to do that. But today is Friday, the 8th of October. This should be posted next week. I have a Dragon Prince review video coming out tomorrow. A couple hours ago, I posted the Kendra Sorensen versus Sophie Foster main character tournament video for Keeper of the Books, and next week I'll be posting another one of those on Keeper of the Books. Also, earlier this week on Wednesday, I posted two of my shortest Super Mario Odyssey videos, Cloud Kingdom and Lost Kingdom Part 1. And I should be posting two new Super Mario Odyssey videos next week, which for you guys was a couple days ago. But the week after I post this, I have two other ones. My last two that are filmed with this camera. And then the week after that, I'll post two Little Nightmares DLC videos, one of them filmed with this camera, and then the other one being the first one that I filmed using a capture card on a computer with a mic, like a headphone mic. Yeah, that's kind of the update of where things are right now. I have made a decision that I am going to be doing some kind of specials on the 1-year anniversaries of each of my 3 channels that I run. Keeper the Books, Keeper the Games, Keeper the Movies, this one. So I kind of talked about this in the last one, in the last video I made, the Dragon Prince video. But basically, for Keeper the Books, I'm going to be sharing the background behind the name Speeder638. Keeper the Games on December 25th, Keeper the Books will be on November 12th. Keeper the Games on December 25th, aka Christmas. I'll be talking about my favorite games, stuff like that. Just going over my favorite games, why they're my favorite games, and then for this one, I'll be talking about my favorite TV shows and possibly touching on a few of my favorite movies and saying why they're my favorite movies, why they're my favorite TV shows. Just because. Yeah, just little 1-year anniversary specials, even though nobody watches my videos. So yeah. There's that little update, and let's just get into it. So this video will contain spoilers for the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, and may contain spoilers for previously released MCU movies that came out before Guardians of the Galaxy, but I will try to avoid spoilers for ones later on down through the timeline. Ones that I haven't done reviews on yet. I have seen all of the MCU movies except for Black Widow and I'm very afraid to say the name, Shang-Chi in The Legend of the Ten Rings? Shang-Chi in The Legend of the Ten Rings? I'm not exactly sure. I'm very afraid that both of those were pronounced wrong. But that movie. I'm pretty sure it's MCU. Yeah. I believe it is, but yeah, those are the only two I haven't seen. I have seen about half of Black Widow, but I ended up falling asleep because I was out of state at a drive-in movie. It was too cold outside, and I did not bring proper clothing because I was wearing shorts, because I love wearing shorts. So I got in the car, and then I couldn't see because it was the back seat, so I laid my head down so I could see, and I fell asleep. So yeah, I've only seen half of it. It was really dumb. Not the movie, but the fact that I fell asleep. So yeah, this is just me rewatching this movie. I've seen it like 3 times before this, or no, 2 times before this, and then this is my 3rd time watching it. But yeah, I'm just making a review on it this time. The next one I'll be doing a review on is, like, in the MCU, will of course be Avengers Age of Ultron, and then after that it will be Ant-Man, and so on. So yeah, that's that. Now, let us get started. If you've not seen one of my MCU review videos before and you are wondering how these work, basically I have 9 categories that I'm going to go over and rate from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest, and I will add up all of the rating points, which will add up to my specific rating of the movie. After I'm done doing all these MCU reviews, depending on how long it will take, depends on how many movies it will include. It will probably also include Spider-Man No Way Home. Really excited for that, by the way. And possibly 1 or 2 other ones. We'll see how long this takes. But yeah, after I'm finished with all of them, I'll be doing a ranking of all of the MCU movies. I know, it's a big thing. There's a lot of them. But I'm using the ratings that I'm giving them in these reviews to determine my ranking. So yeah. So the 9 categories that I go over are the story of the film, the action in the film, the main character of the film. This is a little bit different for like team-up movies and Civil War. I haven't decided exactly what I'm doing with Civil War, but with the Avengers movies, like team-up, I just do team dynamic instead of main character. And yes, for Guardians of the Galaxy, I do count Peter Quill as the main character. Then the villain of the movie, because, well, they're the villain. How good are they? In other words, like, how bad are they? But, like, how realistic are they? Just, are they a good villain, right? Character arcs or character development throughout the film. Humor is a big thing for me. Yes moments, which are kind of those moments that just, like, give you goosebumps and are just like, dang. Death scenes. It's not really an MCU movie unless it's one of those very funny ones, like Ant-Man, for example. That is like straight humor. Then it doesn't have any, but most MCU movies have them, and if it's not done well enough, then you're not going to be as affected by it, and you kind of want to be affected by it. At least I do. I don't know. I feel like it makes a movie better when if they have something like that in it, if they make it more powerful, then it's a better movie. Yeah. And then side characters, in other words, characters that aren't the main character. Yeah. So let's get started. So, story. The story of this film, it's pretty good. It's definitely a big setup for later stuff. I'm not going to say how, I guess I can touch on a little bit about how it's kind of a setup. It introduces Thanos. Well, it doesn't fully introduce him. Technically, he was introduced in Avengers. But it kind of goes in more depth with Thanos' character. It also talks about the Kree, who are part of a different film as well. It also introduces kind of a farther space galaxy that people on Earth don't know about. Thor also does this, but Guardians expands it even further. Dang it, I have the hiccups. Why? At least I think I do. It's okay. Yeah, I think that's good. Tips, by the way, for getting rid of hiccups. Hold your breath is one way that I do it, and another way is I take a paper towel, put it over a cup of water, and just drink through the paper towel, kind of like sucking on it. I think it might also work with a straw, but I'm not sure. I don't know. But instead of just like drinking it through it, like actually like suck up the water, I don't know why, it just helps, at least for me. Notice, I have a cup of water. I've mentioned this in previous videos, that I seriously need a cup of water down here. And now I do. Anyways, so yeah, the story of this film, like I said, it is pretty good setup. It also introduces Nebula and Gamora, and obviously the whole Guardians team, and it's pretty good. It also sets up, obviously, the second Guardians movie. They drop a bunch of hints about who is Quill's dad, and things like that, which we may or may not learn about in the second movie. And it also introduces an Infinity Stone, aka the Power Stone. So the Orb, aka the Power Stone, which is important. As you may have noticed, there are several Infinity Stones that have been introduced, such as the Space Stone, aka the Tesseract, in previous movies, as well as the Ether, aka the Reality Stone. Let's see, the Mind Stone hasn't been introduced, and neither has the Soul Stone. The Mind Stone is the other one that has been introduced in the Avengers with Loki's staff, Loki's scepter thing, is the Mind Stone in something that can be wielded. So, yeah. We've introduced 3 or 4 Infinity Stones, I believe. Let's see. Time, mind, space, power, soul, and reality. So, reality, space, power, mind. Yeah, so we've been introduced 4 Infinity Stones out of 2 so far. Out of 6, not 2. Out of 6 throughout the movies, and the other 2 will be introduced later. Anyways, I'm not going to go into more detail about that because it would contain spoilers for other movies ahead of this. I said I would try to avoid that, so I will. But yeah, other than the setup though, the general story for this one, it's pretty good. It isn't as good as some other stories in the MCU, but it does have a lot of, like I said, it has a lot of setup, but it also has this team of kind of like this team of people who don't really fit in anywhere else. It's kind of like the original Legends of Tomorrow. Like, I love Marvel, but I also love DC. I'm both ways. Love them both. DC is great. I love the Arrowverse. And I also love the MCU. And personally, even though Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man, I love Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. At least the first one. Tobey Maguire did great in his first movie. And his second movie's alright. I haven't actually seen Spider-Man 3, but I'm gonna watch it just so that I've seen all of the Spider-Man movies, except for No Way Home, because, I mean, I can talk to people about Spider-Man stuff and why everybody hates Tobey Maguire, and some people like him, but it's rare. So yeah, I mean, not Tobey Maguire, but the Spider-Man that he portrays. Tobey Maguire's great. At least from what I've heard. I don't know. I think he's been in other acting roles. I don't know. I feel like if I say that about anyone who I don't know enough about, I'm gonna get yelled at by someone. So, sorry. But anyways, so yeah. Other than all the setup and just the fact that there's this practic team of superheroes who aren't really superheroes, they're just misfits, basically. I mean, they kind of become superheroes at the end, but it's still a little iffy. But overall, it's a big old setup movie, which I don't mind. I do wish there was a little bit more substantial story within it that wasn't just a bunch of setup. But I feel like I would think differently of it if I hadn't seen the rest of the MCU. But unfortunately I have, so yeah. But I don't know, overall I feel like it has a decent story. So I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 on story. Again, if you're wondering what 1 through 5 means, 1, like I said, is the worst. It's like either there is no substance here for this thing, or this was done terrible. And 2 is this is alright. There's some substance here. It was alright. It could have been a lot better though. 3 is this was decent. This was pretty good. It could have been a lot better, but it could have been a ton worse. 4 is this is really good. It's not like the best, but it could be so much worse. And then 5 is this is the best. We love this. We need this. Give us more of this. Right? So yeah, I give the story a 4 out of 5. Now on to action. I actually really like the action in this film. I am not as huge of a fan of the ship part of the film because it's just a bunch of... I know I'm calling it a film. I should just say movie. Like, why don't I just call things movies? I call them films. I don't know, I feel like an old person. Sorry if that was offensive. I don't know why I call things films. I don't know. I don't like reading ebooks. And, I mean, audiobooks are okay. I prefer just reading it. I prefer paperback books. Paperback. Just turning a page on a paperback book. I prefer it to hardback, like 100%. And definitely prefer it to ebook. I don't know what it is with me. I'm weird. I don't know. Like, I know a lot of people love reading, like, physical books, but, like, I know most of the people I know prefer hardbacks. There's the occasional person I meet, like my mom, for example, who like paperback. I don't know how much my mom likes paperback. I don't know if she prefers paperback or not, but I definitely prefer paperback. I'm just weird like that. If any of y'all like paperback, let me know. Cool. Book twins, right? I know comments don't always work on my videos just because YouTube likes to say disable comments and I'm not going to let you put them back on. But, you know, I'm trying to fix that. It's a little bit difficult to do, but I'm trying. So, yeah. So, yeah. I do like the action in this film. Movie, whatever. I'm just going to stick with film, whatever. The ship fight scene is okay, but I do prefer the hand-to-hand combat stuff. Yes, the ship scenes are epic. I don't know. I've always preferred fight scenes that are more like personal fight scenes. Just like hand-to-hand combat. Maybe that's why I like Arrow. I don't know. Because there's a lot of hand-to-hand combat in Arrow. And The Flash... Yeah. But, I don't know. In this movie, there was still quite a bit of hand-to-hand combat and, like, gun combat, which is also fine. But, yeah, I actually really like the action in this one. I don't know. It's really good. So I'm actually gonna give action a 5 out of 5. I love it. It's great. I mean, it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect, but it's really good, and I really like it. So, yeah. By the way, these are my opinions. You can have your own opinions. That's completely fine. I know people who prefer Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Personally, I don't like that movie. That's fine. You can have your own opinions. I respect that. Okay, so the main character. Peter Quill, as I will count him as the main character, and aka Star-Lord. So Peter is interesting. This is probably his best movie that he's in, and Chris Pratt, he's a good actor. But even though this is kind of his best film, I'm not a huge fan of the guy, like Peter Quill. His actor's really good, and he portrays him really great. But I'm not a huge fan of the character himself. He has his flaws, which is fine, except, I don't know, I've never really liked the Playboy characters. I mean, Tony Stark, I like him a lot less in his first two films, especially his second film, than later on in the MCU. Because in those first two films, he's kind of a playboy, right? Not as huge of a fan of Oliver Queen when he is on the island in the flashbacks, right? That's just me. So, I don't know. He's good. He's a good character, but he's not my favorite. And the fact that he kind of progressively gets worse from what we've seen, I am gonna have to give him a 4 out of 5. He could be better, but he could be a lot worse, as we see. So yeah. I was kind of tempted to give him a 3 out of 5, but I don't know. He does give some good jokes sometimes. I don't know what it is with me and snarky characters. I mean, it's not really snark. He makes a lot of dad jokes. Not dad jokes, really. He makes a lot of jokes that kind of fall flat. But that's what makes them funny. Then you have the villain. Personally, to me, this is the shortcoming of the film, is the villain. This is where a lot of films get me, is where, like, if I like it or not, is the villain. This one isn't that. This one, the humor is what makes me like it. But the villain in this one is... I am not a huge fan of all bad villains. Villains with less of good motivation. I mean, I don't know if he appears in the comics. I've never read the comics. I was never really into comics. I was more just into novels. Always have been, always probably will be. So I was never really a huge comic fan, but so don't judge me if I get some of my comic knowledge wrong. I know practically nothing. The extent of what I know is from like YouTube videos and my brother. So, Steve, that's not his real name, but Steve, that's just his nickname. Why do I say so much? I do not know. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know if he's in the comics, but yeah, Ronan, the main villain of this film, he doesn't really have the greatest motivation. I mean, he wants power. He doesn't like the Nova. Okay. So what? What is his real motivation? Thanos, I won't go into detail about it, but Thanos has a pretty good motivation. I do not agree with it whatsoever, but he has a motivation, which makes him more of a realistic villain. But villains without motivation just bug me, because it feels like they're just all bad, and that doesn't give me as many conflicting feelings about the villain, and which makes this villain less compelling, at least to me. I don't know about you guys. I mean, yes, all bad villains can be good, and good villains aren't necessarily always great, but I don't know, just some of them, like say Black Panther's main villain, Killmonger. It is Killmonger, isn't it? I believe so. But Black Panther's main villain is one of the best, because of his motivation. It's really good motivation, and honestly, it's something that is actually a real thing. And that makes me sympathize with him a little bit more. I mean, I obviously cannot fully sympathize with that. But I know people who can, and yeah, it's a real thing, and his motivation is actually really good. I'm not sure I fully agree with his methods to the extremes that he goes, but you can understand his motivation. I'm very excited to do my review on Black Panther because I love that movie. It's great. Anyways, but yeah, Ronan isn't a great villain, in my opinion. I mean, he's definitely not the worst villain ever. He's not, what's his face from Iron Man 2, who was, like, a secondary villain. The one who's, like, wants to be Tony Stark. I don't remember his name, honestly. I mean, maybe I can find it in my notes for Iron Man 2, which are also in this notebook. Justin Hammer, I think. I believe his name is Justin Hammer. He's your definition of a terrible villain. This guy, slightly better just because he has the menacing factor, but I don't know. Not the best. So I'm actually going to give the villain 2 out of 5. 4 score. Okay, on to character development / character arcs. So, this one has some pretty good ones. It has pretty good character development. You have Drax, who goes from being this bloodthirsty guy who his entire character is getting revenge for his wife and daughter. At the end, he turns into someone who actually cares about his friends. Rocket, he at the beginning is only interested in money. He wants to get rich and settle down, and by doing this, he puts other people in danger. And he's also very bossy. But by the end of it, he also values friendship and becomes a better raccoon. They ain't nothing like me except me. Anyways, better genetically modified raccoon. Gamora starts out seeming like she is on Ronan's side and on the side of Thanos and stuff like that. And she's also very much against Peter and the rest of the Guardians. I guess they weren't called that at that point, but the rest of the Guardians. And she kind of just wanting to get away. But by the end of it, she decides that she wants to join a crew. Peter, at the beginning of it, is super playboy, really arrogant, and just only thinking about himself. By the end of it, he also becomes a little bit more selfless, which is great. It isn't the best character development I've seen, but it's very good. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 on character development. Simply because of Gamora. She didn't change as much as the others, which I guess isn't super fair, but I'm still going to stick with that 4 out of 5. It's really good. Humor. My favorite part of this film is the humor. It is great. I actually very much prefer it to Guardians 2 humor, which I'm not a gigantic fan of. This moment, like, the humor in this film makes me laugh every time. And they mix it into fight scenes, and it's great. You have Rocket's obsession with prosthetic limbs and eyes, apparently. It's great. I love it. It's awesome. I don't know why I did that. That wasn't even... Whatever. Okay, goodness, my throat is dry. But yeah, the humor in this film, always makes me laugh. It's the best. It's some of my favorite humor in the MCU. Maybe not my favorite in all of them. Spider-Man. But it's really good still, so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 on humor because I love the humor in this film. Now, on to yes moments, those moments that give you goosebumps. This one is really good with that as well. I had a ton of moments when I got goosebumps, and ones that I'm just like, yes, as it should be called, yes moments. So yeah, I don't really know, there's moments like in the fight at the kiln, when Drax throws Rocket the gun and he starts like firing after that oh yeah thing, which is great. I love that moment. It's great. I mean, it's not the best yes moments in the MCU. I have a personal preference on that one. One moment that I will always quote, bring me Thanos. Anyways, which is my favorite moment for these moments basically in the entire MCU, besides maybe like 2 others, which are kind of tied with it. Infinity War and Endgame are definitely my favorites when it comes to that. But this one still has some really good ones, and they also make me laugh, so 5 out of 5 on yes moments. They're great. Now you have death scenes. This one has 2 death scenes, at the very beginning and very near the end. So Peter's mom dies at the beginning, which always makes me very sad, and I always cry at that. Yes, I'm crying, whatever. I know it's less of a big deal for me because I'm a girl, but hey, let guys cry. They need to. I don't get what people's problem with that is. So what? They're human beings, just like girls. And other people that aren't girls and aren't guys. It's fine. Let people cry. People need to cry. It's healthy. Anyways. So, yeah, the death scenes in this one are really great. So Peter's mom always makes me cry when that happens, and it's a very powerful death scene, and something that definitely affects Peter long term. And then you have Groot, like that version of Groot, and that was very sad as well, but also very iconic moments. We are Groots, and I love them both, and they're great, and very emotional. So, yeah, 5 out of 5 on death scenes. And then you have the side characters. I want to give this one a higher score, but I'm less of a big fan of the side characters in this film. They're still great, don't get me wrong. But unfortunately, some of them bug me a little bit. Like how literal they can be. It's funny, but okay. I don't know. They're pretty good still. They could be a lot worse, but they could make some big improvements, which they do. So, yeah. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 on side characters. So if you have been keeping count of the score, then you will know what the end score will be. So, to do a quick review before I reveal the end score. Story was 4 out of 5, action was 5 out of 5, main character was 4 out of 5, villain was 2 out of 5, character arcs was 4 out of 5, humor was 5 out of 5, yes moments was 5 out of 5, death scenes was 5 out of 5, and side characters were 3 out of 5. And that means that the final score for this film, which is actually pretty good, is 37 out of 45 in total. That's pretty close to the top. I believe the top ones are Captain America the First Avenger and Captain America Winter Soldier, tied at 39 out of 45. So that's really good. Really good score. Definitely a lot better than some of the other ones. I love this movie. It's not my favorite out of all of them, but it's really good, and always has me laughing and crying and has me with a range of emotions. So I love this movie. It's great. And that's all I really have to say. So I'll see you guys next time.